What's up, family? This is Kevin Orris doing an Ask Me Anything. Can ask me anything, although the topic I chose was love and relationships, which I haven't done one of these in a while. I'm going to do a little dual live action on Instagram as well. So if you're watching this later, just type in replay and you can put your question down in the comments and we'll see if anyone wants to join here. Get the other stream going here. So welcome if you're joining over on Instagram, doing a little Ask Me Anything. So if y'all want to type in the comments where you're tuning in from, if you have questions, I'd love to hear them. Nobody yet on Facebook. I don't see anyone on there. If you can see this on Facebook, let me know in the comments. Facebook Live used to be so cool, but now I get almost zero people watching live, and when I post a live video, nobody watches it. Maybe I'm just boring as fuck, or maybe the algorithm is only reels now, or something like that. I think it's so fascinating. What's up, everybody joining over on Instagram? If you're watching this, let me know if you can hear me, or type in the comments where you're tuning in from in the world. Would love to hear from you. And I'm just going to hang out until somebody has questions or I get bored. And I want to bring back Ask Me Anythings and really have this be a thing I do regularly. I used to do them all the time. But that all depends on you guys, you know? Would love to hear from you. Just got off an amazing podcast with I'm not sure the name of her podcast, but it's a great discussion on love, relationships, dating, etc. Had some new kind of angles come through. That's funny. Facebook has a profanity filter. The real profanity is the horrible advertising that Facebook submits you to. Oh, they really upgraded the Facebook Live interface. You can do all kinds of stuff now. That's cool. So yeah, if you're watching over on Instagram, would love to hear from you. If you have a question or you just want to say hi. Looks like we've got one viewer on Facebook. So yeah, love to hear from you guys. What's alive for you? Botanical Brook says should show. Not sure what that means, but great. Andrea in the house, hello. Thanks for commenting, so I know you're here. Got some new people joining on Insta. Thanks for being here. Botanical Brook, first question. Thoughts on having kids with someone, but they maybe not yoked right? Should you stay together for the kids? So I think what you're asking is like, this is, I think, a Bible verse. It's like a man and woman should be equally yoked, right? Or, not like jacked. Maybe they should be, but yoked as in they're equally symbiotic or dynamic together. And I think that's a very important thing, is that you're equally yoked. You're both contributing. There's a symbiosis. There's a shared ownership and experience of the relationship. That's extremely important. Now, should you stay together for the kids? That's a very personal question. That's going to be case by case. But If the only reason you're staying with someone, you don't love them, you're not equally yoked, etc., is for the children, and you think that that's going to be what's best for them, you're wrong. Okay? That is not a good enough reason to stay in connection and subject your children to a loveless marriage, you know. And I can, say this from experience where, love you, mom and dad, but that's kind of what they did. And I don't know if that was the best decision. And I don't know if that's the best move. I know a lot of, couples or marriages do this. Is that correct? Is that right? I don't believe it is, because those children need to see affection. They need to see a mom and dad that are in love. They need to see that. It's important for their growth. So I can't see you justifying staying together just for the children, as if that's going to be what's healthy for them. I think that's an absurd notion. So that's kind of my take on that. Obviously, I'm not married. I don't have kids. So it's a very personal and tough, can be a tough decision. So I understand people that, shy away from that. And it's a tough place to be in. Sacred Art Alchemy. What do you think it really takes to be in a healthy relationship? What it really takes is telling the truth. If you put truth at the center of your relationship, that's what's going to help you the most. That's what's going to help you structure and maintain polarity. That's what's going to deepen the love. That's what's going to be the most healthy, powerful thing that you can do, That's what it really takes to be in a healthy relationship. The willingness to tell the truth. And I know a lot of people, it's easier said than done, right? Because some people, they will do anything rather than tell the truth, which is tough. That's tough. So, yeah. Kyle Lipton in the house. K-Man. You're also a K-Man, Kyle. You also might be a caveman. See Magic Mike in the house. Now we got some people joining here. Just takes a little bit on the lives. Takes a little bit. Logan in the house. What's up, brother? So glad to see some of y'all here. If you're vibing with this video, drop a comment so the algorithm gives us some love. Maybe share it or tag somebody if you want them to be a part of it. La Luniverse. I somehow got on this. I don't know what yeah. Well, I'm curious, do you have kids? And is that a question for you of like, should you stay in a relationship for the kids, right? So over on Instagram, we got Light of Creation. What would you suggest for a man who has realized his partner is closing off her heart because she's never received as much love? So that's an interesting one, right? So pulling away or being avoidant in love because you're actually receiving too much. And I think that's a real pattern. If you're a man who's feeling their partner close off, then go right towards it and address it. So use your loving masculine leadership to, ask about it, touch on that, open the line of communication, and, be honest about that feeling that you're just mentioned that, hey, I'm noticing that I feel like you might be closing off. Now, because she's never received as much love, that might just be a story. You need to make sure and speak to her. Is that actually true? So you need to open up a communication channel around this. As the masculine, share what you're noticing, what's coming up for you in that, own what you're feeling and noticing, and then allow her to share what's actually happening for her. Maybe she's not actually closing off. Maybe it's something else, and you need to get clarity on that. So I would say don't jump to conclusions. Don't jump the gun there. You need to be very clear and open with that dynamic. It may not be what you think it is. You need to get curious. Definitely can't have another K-Man in the live or there will be a problem. I mean, we can go K-Man to K-Man, bro. Just like caveman to caveman. I'm always welcoming K-Man up in here. As we all know, K is the best letter of the alphabet. Andrea Cobble has a question. I'm struggling with communication in my 3-year relationship to a man who was abandoned at childhood and struggles to access his emotions. It's hard to always be the one saying, I love you, and giving the cards with how I feel expressed inside. He's very focused on work and exercise, another form of work. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. how to best help a man open up emotionally. I'm starting to shut down and pull away too. Um, this is a tough one. So if this man has abandonment wounds and he's really struggling to feel his emotions, to access them, the best way you can support him to do that is not to be his mother, is not to try to like rush in and make him open up. It's to encourage him to open up outside the relationship first, maybe if that's safer. So that means he needs to be in a men's circle. He needs to be working with a therapist, a coach. He needs an elder, a mentor, a man he can feel safe with. And this doesn't need to be grandiose. It can be just one man in his life where he can help address that. And also, you can just own that it's impacting you and share in a feminine, communicated way, not demanding, not blaming, not shaming, saying, hey, like I feel like I have to be the one that I'm always expressing or showing my cards. And I notice you're focused on work and relationship, which, some praise would go a long way, some respect. I love that you're into that. I love that you're working on your body and focusing on making money. But I would really feel good, and it would feel so amazing to really feel what's happening for you inside, what's happening in your emotional space. That helps me feel more connected and loving, and it helps me trust you more. You need to have an open dialogue with this man and invite him into that. Communication is going to be the answer to all these questions. Like, if something's happening in love and relationship that you don't want, you need to be communicating about it. So that can be uncomfortable. That can be intense. That can feel like, oh, fuck, am I going to get abandoned? Am I going to lose love? You need to be honest with this person in your life. Shaka's in the house. Fight for it. Talking about the K-man fight. And yeah, just a general question here from Andrea: how to help a man open up emotionally. You know, it's funny because there's a duality, right? And it's not always the case, but it can be. Men open up their heart through their sexuality in some ways, or their desire. Women open up their sexuality through their heart. So men can actually take more time to open up and feel emotionally safe. This can often be the case. So as a woman, you need to be very patient and present with your man. And like, if he's sharing his emotion, don't jump in and try to coddle or mother him. Don't jump in and try to shame or blame or like bring up all your grievances. If he's opening his heart, listen, be patient, encourage him, praise him. And as the feminine, you can do this by sharing how good it feels to feel his vulnerability, to feel his heart opening. This is really important that you understand this, how a man opens emotionally. It can be hard for men. Men can take longer to process emotion than women on average. Men can need the man cave or the study or the alone time, the nature time, the brotherhood to work through emotion. For women, it can come very quickly. It can be instant. Shakti can just boom, like emotion's there, it's everywhere, it's flowing. For men, it's different. And that's sacred. Like, honor the difference between how men and women process emotion. Be patient with him. And yeah, I understand, like, as a woman, you can start to shut down and pull away when that's the case. Yeah. La Luniverse, I agree. Truth is everything. Gives a foundation to actually show up and see what's present in the relationship. Totally. Nick in the house. Kev's the man. You're the man, Nick, too. Light of creation. Yep, this is clarity of communication. Yeah, communication is the basis and foundation of all relationships, not just romantic. It's so important to understand. And people think they don't need to become a better communicator. And you wonder why you're not getting your needs met or your love met, the way it could be, right? Shaka, in the previous question about a man facing abandonment issues, she mentioned how she's beginning to pull away too. I've been looking at spiritual mimicry within relationships. And I was wondering if this is a topic you can speak on. Spiritual mimicry, that's an interesting term. I'm curious what your definition of that would be. In this context, I'm assuming, because mimicry is like when you're mimicking someone, you're copying them, right? And that's like an evolutionary strategy to, for predator-prey relationships in nature, you can mimic to try to gain access to the niche of that other species. In relationship here, it's like if one person's going to pull away or abandon, well, I'll pull away and abandon first so I don't get hurt, right? What I'm assuming you're referring to is spiritual mimicry as like a defense pattern or defense strategy to protect your heart. And I'm curious, yeah, I wish you could say more about that, because it's hard to speak on that when I'm not sure what that term exactly means for you. Um, Now, mirroring is maybe the term I would use here. Mirroring is quite natural. If your partner is loving and open and honest and attuned to your needs, it's quite natural that you'll do the same. You'll want to mirror them. We literally have something called mirror neurons, and this is where empathy in our nervous system wants to mirror and connect to someone. Um, but this can also be a challenge because you can also mirror trauma. So you need to have a lot of self-awareness and understand your boundaries, your needs, your wants and desires, and be able to communicate them in real time. So you're not just copying or getting stuck in a mirror dynamic with your partner, especially if it's a newer relationship and you don't really know them super well. That can be a tough one. So if anyone else is joining now, I see 8 people over on Instagram, 6 on Facebook. Thank you all for being here. We're doing an Ask Me Anything. I'm going to hang out here for a little while and answer as many questions as I can. So if you're tuning in, you have a question, drop it in the comments. If you just want to hang out and say what up, drop something you're grateful for in the comments, just one word. So Shaka is like, mirroring such a better word. I've seen some partners mirror trauma, beliefs, and ideas over time, especially in newer relationships. And yeah, this is quite normal when you're dating early, is you want to mirror the other person because you want to be liked, right? You want to create connection. And so one of the easiest ways to create connection is just kind of like copy or mirror what's happening for them in the moment, which is natural. There's nothing wrong with it. Now, it becomes a problem if you're not expressing your uniqueness and your individuality and you're just getting caught up in the mirroring. And I think a lot of women can get stuck in this if they're stuck in the fawning response, or they're stuck in good girl and they just keep mirroring and trying to be a people pleaser. Men can emasculate themselves and get stuck in this if they're trying to white knight and be a people pleaser and just mirror what the woman wants. At some point, you need to express what you want, and you need to share and be confident and own, hey, this is what's coming up for me. Hey, this is what I want. This is what I would like. And here it is, reveal, share your desire in the moment. Overly mirroring can get you stuck. So this is a big topic, Shaka. I appreciate you bringing that, brother. I'm curious if anyone else has some questions here. Andrea says book recommendations on this topic. I would look up anything by Alison Armstrong. She's one of the most powerful female leaders in this space. Esther Perel, another amazing female leader and author. I would highly recommend David Deida and John Wineland from the masculine perspective if you want to understand love and relationships. I would recommend the book on the love languages, the 5 love languages. There's more than 5 now. I would highly recommend understanding attachment theory and attachment styles if you're experiencing that kind of abandonment trauma with a partner. And there's a lot of authors on this. I would most recommend Deida, Wineland, Armstrong, and Perel. They're like some powerhouses in that space. But yeah, that's what I got. Awesome, y'all. Well, I don't see any more questions. About 20 minutes in here. It's kind of an experiment to see what would happen and what kind of response I would get here. I'm grateful for everyone that has shown up and shared, but I would love to hear a few more questions before I sign off here. So if you're watching, shoot your shot. And if you're watching this later and you're watching the replay, just type in replay, or maybe tag someone that you'd love to share this video with, or share it out. Really appreciate everyone that is here now. I'm seeing some familiar faces and some new folks here. And yeah, if you love what's happening here, and you're into polarity, you're into love and relationships, you want to be the best lover and really level up, I would highly recommend joining my community, the Polarity Dojo, which I'll drop in the comments here for y'all. This is a free community with tons of masterclass recordings and resources for anyone who wants to up level their lover game and really get support, meet people, come to our events. We have free classes, we have paid classes. I'm actually putting together one that's going to be kind of a speed dating workshop and a polarity role play workshop. It's going to be a premium paid experience where you can actually, you know, come participate, listen, or actually come on stage, so to speak, online and play out some really fun polarity speed dating exercises and role play so we can really understand masculine feminine communication, and you can take that into your own relationships and get your needs met and be, you know, the badass lover that you know you are and that you want to be. So highly recommend that. Logan says polarity has been a deep passion of mine for about 10 years, but gotten more deeply into it over the past year. Would love to collab some content sometime soon, brother. Yeah, I would love that, man. Maybe we should do a live together on Facebook. I would appreciate that. I love how your mind works. I think we did a podcast back in the day on Wizard Factory, right? But yeah, it could be cool to just go deep into polarity, man. Shoot me a DM and let's set that up. I would love to do that, Logan. Awesome. I don't see any more questions. I'm going to sign off here, make this short and sweet. No, we got one more. Logan says, do you resonate with the term gender roles? So first off, no, I don't resonate with that because that term has been weaponized, right? People are like, you're promoting gender roles, as if gender roles were a bad thing. Gender roles are real, they're innate, it's a real thing. Now we all relate to them differently, and obviously we evolved in villages of 150 or smaller in tribes where men and women had different roles. You wouldn't want to send your women off to war, to hunt, to bleed and die and experience trauma, just like you wouldn't probably want just the men raising the children. There are real differences between men and women, and they should be celebrated as symbiotic, harmonious energetics, not some form of oppression. But anyway, do you resonate with the term gender roles, and to what degree do you believe women should adhere to them versus the homogenization of these? Yeah, I think, you know, men and women are more alike than we are different, for sure. Like that's clear to me, right? But that being said, the differences are sacred and important. And this whole idea that there's no such thing as gender roles are all, you know, fake news, and, you know, men and women should just be the same, everything should be equality. You know, I think this is a nice notion in theory because we do want women and, you know, underserved demographics and, you know, even the trans or LGBTQ community to be respected and be invited and welcomed. Of course, like I believe that any person with a heart and empathy, I think, would agree with that. Leaving out all the politics, leaving out woke culture and all the bullshit that's out there right now, that's canceling and witch hunting. Now, that being said, there are differences between men and women, and that is by design. Nature has designed man and a woman to be perfect complements to each other. They're not opposing forces, they're complementary. And they're good at different things. They both have superpowers, right? And we want to team up masculine and feminine to create the healthiest, most vital, safe, powerful humanity, right? And this includes how we raise children. This includes how we do business, how we conduct conflict, how we conduct community. So are gender roles real? Yes, on one level. Are the 1950s, you know, stage one kind of caricature polarity gender roles real, and should we do that? Yes and no. You know, some people enjoy that. There's people that are very traditional that are in that dynamic and it works for them. So you got to determine what works for you in your dating and intimacy. So I think a lot of people just use the term gender roles as kind of this witch hunt term and as a straw man. If you're familiar with logical fallacies, often the gender role argument is a straw man. So it's basically a caricatured, weak, incomplete argument to try to justify something else. And, you know, it's not great communication. It's not great inquiry practice to do it like that way, in my opinion. Ariana says, can you share a polarity practice that helps you being present, unbiased, and loving towards the other? Yeah, number one practice there would be to just own your experience. Radical ownership. What am I feeling? What am I noticing? What am I thinking? What are the stories I'm creating right now? Do I have expectations? Are my needs being met? So in polarity, whether you're masculine or feminine in the moment, with your partner, the more present you can be to owning your experience and then sharing that in the moment without expectation or without charge and, you know, a lot of like projection, that's going to be super powerful, and it's going to create attraction. It's going to create truth in the moment. It's going to create love arising naturally. And it's going to help you be unbiased and loving towards the other and more caring when you can actually own your experience in the moment instead of projecting your expectation or projecting what you think their experience is or what they should be doing. How about you focus on you and bring what you have? That's going to be extremely powerful polarity practice. Great question. Logan, fully agree with that answer. It's the nuances, especially when it comes to the masculine and feminine communication styles, that I'd love to dive into and explore in a live, among other things. Yeah, let's do it, man. Send me a DM. Let's set that up. Would love to collab. So awesome, y'all. I'm gonna sign off. Grateful everyone who joined here. Share this video out. Tag someone if it's been valuable to you. It's gonna be posted on my Instagram and on my Facebook. So a lot of good little discussions in here, and I'm going to do more of these. I'll probably announce the next one, so you can, show up with questions ready, or if you want to tune in from the whole thing live, I think that would be amazing. Grateful for y'all. Thank you.